Hello, children. This is Manish Yadav, your English teacher, and today we would do the remaining portion of second chapter. Not second, this is first chapter from the book of Vistas. So, without getting delayed, let us start the second part of this chapter. anyway, here, anyway, Here's what happened at Grand Central one night last summer. I worked late at the office. Anyway, Charlie. Charlie describes the story. He starts describing the story what happened one day with him at Grand Central. One night he worked late at office. It was the time of summer and he worked late at that night. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. He was in hurry. Charlie was in hurry and he had to get uptown to his apartment. So he decided to take the subway, another way which is leading to the same, target from Grand Central because it was faster than the bus. That subway, that route was faster than the bus. Now, I don't know why this should have happened to me. He's confused about what happened with him. I am just an ordinary guy named Charlie. He says that he is an ordinary boy whose name is Charlie, 31 years old, and he is 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. He was wearing a tan gabardine suit. It is, a long type of suit up to knee in black color, and he was wearing a straw hat. Straw, it is a kind of circular hat, and fancy band means there would be a ribbon in black color around the head. So he was wearing a long suit and a fancy banded hat. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me. Charlie passed a dozen of men who were looking like him, and I was not trying to escape from anything. Charlie says that he was not trying to escape, he was not trying to give up from anything. He just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. Charlie wanted to go to his home to see Louisa. Louisa was his wife. I think it would be clear to all the students. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century. Then I walked down another flight to the second level where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway. I turned. He says that he turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue. He went from Vanderbilt Avenue to Grand Central and went down the steps to the first level. And he arrived at first level of Grand Central. As I told you at the beginning of this story, that in this chapter, Charlie talks about railroads. You know, level, first level, second level, and third level has been used for railroads platform, you could say. So he went at first platform of Grand Central, where people take trains like the 20th century. Okay, actually, Charlie was belonging to 20th century. Okay, he belongs to 20th century, but the miracle, the experience which he has described in this chapter is about 19th century. Okay, staying in 20th century, belonging to 20th century, he imagines. Okay, I mean, he gets imagination about 19th century. Means time travels from 20th century to 90th century. Okay, 19th century, you can say. So what happened? Then I walked. I am here. Then I walked another flight to the second level where the suburban trains leave from. Thereafter, he moved a few steps from there and passed another flight to the second level. And he arrived at the second level, second platform or second railroad at Grand Central, where the suburban trains leave from. Where the suburban trains, I mean, trains which go to suburban, towards urban areas or anywhere, he took or he wanted to take a train from there. I mean, all the trains to suburban leave from there, ducked into an arched doorway hiding from the subway. He went into an arched doorway, and it was heading for the subway and got lost. This is the moment, the point of kick. He has lost himself from there. Okay, he went uh, at first level of Grand Central, thereafter to the second level of Grand Central, and when he dug into an arched doorway, he was lost from there. Okay, thereafter he describes very strange experience of his in this chapter. What does he say? Let's know. That is easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I am always bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. Okay, what happens with him? I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times. He says that I have made my journey hundreds of times of Grand Central, but he was always bumping into new doorways that time, and stairs and corridors. Everything was different. Corridors, doorways, everything, stairs as well, was newer for Charlie. Once I got into a tunnel. Once upon a time, he says that I got into a tunnel about a mile long. It was a mile long. एक मील की दूरी थी, and came out in the lobby of Roosevelt Hotel. And thereafter he came again to the Roosevelt Hotel. Another time he came up in an office building on 46th Street. Another time he describes about his experience that he came up, okay, in an office building. It was an office building there on 46th Street, and The number of street was 46, 3 blocks away. Okay, and it was located 3 blocks away. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree, pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots. Sometimes it seems to Charlie that Grand Central was growing up. It was developing itself, or it was changing itself, pushing out new corridors. Charlie was pushing new corridors because it was very strange and odd experience to the Charlie, because everything was as different as he could not expect. Everything was different. He was pushing out corridors and staircases like roots. Now, let us scroll down to the next page. There is probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about feeling its way under the city right now. Charlie states about a tunnel that was unknown to everybody. Nobody knows about that. And its way under the city right now. It means he wants to describe about a tunnel which is unknown to everybody except Charlie. On its way to Times Square, and maybe another to Central Park. And maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into. But I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. Charlie. Charlie describes about a tunnel, okay, that was leading towards Central Park, maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit. Okay, it was very strange and miracle for Charlie that there was an other exit at Grand Central that was third level. I mean, by going that through that exit, he would be arriving at third level of the Grand Central, and it was unknown to everybody. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into, but never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. But I never shared or uh, told anything about that to my friend Sham. Okay, um, he says that I never told my friend Sham about that because what happens at the last of this story is mysterious. Okay, is terrible, and it's the matter to think about it. So that's it for this video. We would be studying the next in the next video. So keep practicing and learning. Wish you all the best.